Great Scott.
Morning, D.
Elden Ring is no stranger to disgusting and hideous and horrifying item descriptions. But what about the actual items? What are the most horrifying inside of Miyazaki's masterpiece? Well, in today's video, we are going to be talking about the top 5 most disgusting and horrifying items that exist within Elden Ring. And without further ado, number 5, the family heads. Even from the get-go, this item description gives a really unsettling and disturbing image. Just from the title in of itself, it gives the reader the connotation that this flail is made out of a family. And you'd be completely correct in assuming that. The family head flail is used by a necromancer called Garrus. This heretical necromancer rediscovered a lot of the ghost flame. But how did the ghost flame originally appear to him? Well, it's in this item description for when we use the flail, we see the ghost flame, and when you use its special move, you summon the family, his spouse, and his 2 children. And you might think, oh, it's just his children and his spouse helping him out beyond the grave. But this isn't the case. Well, how do you manifest and summon the ghost flame? Well, we get this question answered to us by the fallen hawks. All you have to do is burn the dead. The item description says that the actual heads on the flail are made of copper. But if this flail is summoning and being used as a conduit for the ghost flame, that means it needs to have these burning corpses. Now there's 2 routes you can go down with this. 1, Garrus killed both his children and his wife. Or a second option, someone or something killed his wife and children, and that was his catalyst for turning him into the heretical necromancer we know today. Neither way is right or wrong, as we simply do not know. Going on to something a bit more speculatory, this is never stated, but given that we know that for the ghost flame to appear, it needs to have some burning parts of the corpse, I believe whether he killed them himself or not, he cremated them, and their ashes he fused with the copper in the creation of this flail, making it so they were eternally damned and bound to him. And I guess maybe that was his way of bringing them back to life. After all, he is a necromancer, and that is what necromancers do. Just as a final thing on the topic of the family heads, I really do think there is quite a big chance that the family heads are an Easter egg for Pinwheel. He was a terrible boss fight, but his lore was absolutely incredible. Quick TLDR, Pinwheel is made of a mother, a father and a child. Seems familiar, doesn't it? The family heads are a collection of a mother and her 2 children. Obviously it's not exactly the same, but that whole fusing family members together is basically the whole premise of Pinwheel, who also, in his pursuit to bring back his family, fused himself. Just like Garrus did with this flail, bringing 3 people back into being. Number 4, the corpse wax weapons. The corpse wax weapons are derived from the corpse wax gargoyles. Now you might be thinking, if you're a returning viewer, Gecko, you've talked about these guys quite a bloody lot over the last 2 years, so why are you bringing them up now? Because to be honest, if I didn't put them on here, I'd be robbing them of a rightful spot, because they are truly disturbing. The corpse wax gargoyles, which you gain these corpse wax weapons from, are made of the different corpse wax of different champions. Now it's quite self-explanatory, corpse wax that is made of corpse, but how is this made? Now we don't know the exact process, but I believe they grind up the flesh, grind it up and make it into a waxy kind of substance, where they then take the essence of heroes from that corpse's wax and make them into eternal slaves to their rightful orders. Some were given to Malekith, some guarded the Golden Capital. What's even more disturbing is it doesn't seem like there's anything else to these gargoyles. It seems to be just this corpse wax which brings them to life. So then when you look at the weapons and you realise that the blades are all fused together with corpse wax and that the weapon in of itself is corpse wax, you begin to question. And I do believe I have the answer to your question. Just like the corpse wax gargoyles, I believe that these corpse wax weapons are in fact alive, that they have their own autonomy. Only they're not free to do as they wish. They are eternal servants, just like their corpse wax gargoyle counterparts. From the evidence we are given, there is no reason why they should not be alive. Only not in the sense of alive that we are thinking of. The corpse wax gargoyles at least get to roam around. These weapons are inanimate, but they are yet alive, which I think's really sad. They can do nothing of their own volition. These champions who have served their order for possibly centuries have been reduced to a weapon for those to come, disregarded like the trash of a sewer. Number 3, the Mad Pumpkin Heads, which once more is a fulfillment of Miyazaki's kink for torture. The Mad Pumpkin Kings are truly tragic. Fallen warriors who have been subjected to a level of torture that is truly beyond inhumane. Upon their head has been planted a massive metal pumpkin head. We do not know why these people have been forced into such horrible circumstances. From the item descriptions we get, it sort of implies that the whole design was to make them mad. Maybe so they were bloodlusted creatures that would not stop against all odds, that would be unpredictable to the enemy. And while it seems like a piece of torture, which it certainly is, there seems to be another side of it. For in the item description, it talks about whoever created these helmets that were plastered and stuck onto these people's heads. They had some kind of kindness, for it talks about how it was made spacious inside to avoid claustrophobia. Now, if this was just a pure torture technique, why on earth would the creator go through so much trouble to make it less claustrophobic for the wielder? The only possibility I can really think of is that this was something that was done voluntarily to this person. Why they would do it, I really don't know. Maybe it was for their people, or maybe they were just masochistic motherfuckers who really got off on this shit. We really don't know, but I think that's the most logical explanation that we can really think of at this point, at least without further information. Number 2, the Bewitching Branches. Now, more likely than not, you've heard of the Bewitching Branches before. The Bewitching Branches are made of unalloyed gold incantations, which were made by Miquella of the Halig Tree. The Bewitching Branches are used to, as the name suggests, bewitch the person who it is sprayed at. If you don't know what bewitch means, it's basically putting someone under your spell, taking control from them, and Miquella does that so much. Great example being the suicide bombers at the Halig Tree. They have the purple mist of the Bewitching Branch. They believe they're doing this in service of Miquella to help him get back, but by the fact that they are enchanted by the mist of the Bewitching Branch, it tells us a completely different story. The people that follow Miquella, they truly believe that they are following Miquella, that they've chosen him as their lord by their own free will. They truly believe that, and what's even sadder is that's completely false. Miquella has bewitched them, and the consequence is their free will. Only they do not know that they lack free will because the bewitching goes so deep that they are merely slaves to Miquella's will, which shows us a lot about Miquella's personality, not to mention the lengths he will go to and the unforgivable atrocities he has committed. Just before we get on to number 1, I just wanted to say, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. We are so close to reaching 3,000 subscribers. If you want to help the channel, please consider leaving a like and subscribe, but only if you are enjoying the video. If you're not enjoying the video, then please let me know down below so I can try and improve for the next one, because I love making these videos and I just want to make as good content as I possibly can. Number 1, Godric's Dragon Head. I love this item. At first, you might be thinking, oh, it's just a dragon's head, you know, there is dragon weapons in the game. But cool, it's a dragon's head. It can't be much more than that though, can it? It might not have a massive story like a lot of other item descriptions have. Godric's dragon head is truly tragic, and it goes back to one of Miyazaki's kinks. Now, we've talked about Miyazaki's kink for torture, but he seems to have another kink for entrapment. And that seems to be once more the case with Godric's dragon head. For Godric's dragon's head is in fact alive. The best example of this is when you use the weapon's skill, where the dragon's head becomes visibly animate and shoots fire from its mouth, like the days when it once had a full body. You might be tempted to say, well, this is the only time it's animate. Perhaps the powers of the head, when you desire it, brings it back to life in these selected moments. But I don't believe this to be the case. Now, this is more on the speculatory side, so don't take this as 100%. But what if the dragon head never actually stops being alive? What if when you create that remembrance weapon, even before that, it is still alive? Maybe the reason it stays limp, it stays still for all that time is simply because it knows that there is no escape, that it is trapped unto eternity and there is nothing that it can do, for it is bound to a certain tarnished who has used the remembrance of its kin to bring it back into physical being. We know that dragons survive after death. The beating hearts of the dragons which are used at the communion stations are still alive. They still beat with the heartbeat of its heart. I hope you enjoyed that alliteration. The last little bit there was speculation, as I said, but even if that turns out to be false, it does not take away from the tragedy that is Godric's dragon head, and it's something I really don't think people appreciate often enough as they do. Hell, if at all. And that just about wraps it up, guys. I really hope you have enjoyed this one. The reason why I haven't uploaded for the last 2 weeks, which I am very sorry about, by the way, is because I was ill. I had these spots come out. I've still got them. They aren't measles. I've had the vaccine and everything, but they were really bad and I was just really ill. And then my nan went into hospital, so it's just been a really hectic few weeks. I'm really sorry for the lack of uploads, but from now on it should be every Friday, as it was before that little 2-week break. Anyway, I'm not going to keep you any longer. I really do hope you have a great rest of your day or night. And yeah, may you find your worth in the waking world. Goodbye, everyone.